I'm pleased to welcome IAAPI webinar series, session 16. I welcome all board members, office bureaus, distinguished members to IAAPI webinar series, session 16. Today's webinar guidelines. The microphone and video has been switched off for the convenience of viewers. May we request all of you to keep your microphones and videos in off mode, please. In case we find too much of a disturbance, we'll have no option but to keep you in the waiting room in case your audio is disturbing the webinar. You're requested to rename after joining as per the format. In case of queries, please drop a text at the bottom chat window. The webinar is being recorded for the benefit of our members. Question answer session. At the end, please type your questions in the chat window. We shall try to address your questions. Dear friends, the past webinars we've done on various subjects with the best of the speakers we could attain in. The topics were great and the content delivered was really awesome. And I hope you all have benefited from the same. Section 16, we have a session on conflict management. The session will be taken by Mr. Abhikendu from Wet and Joy Water Park. He's CEO at Magic Mountain Amusement Park in Wet and Joy. Friends, the subject is conflict management, which reminds me of Sadhguru. In one of the interviews, he said stress management was a topic, and he said that why do we need to manage stress? It is not part of our daily life, and we should be concentrating or managing things which are close to us, which we really need to manage, which we love, which we like things which we are close to us. So stress is nothing which we should be able to manage. But at the same time, in our daily routine life, stress has become, or conflict also has become a limb in our body, a body part. So we need to manage it at times, and the conflicts normally come in, especially when we have either too good of a times in the company or we have a tough times. So as we all know, we are going through very tough times. The whole industry is going through that. The whole world is going through that. So there are chances of having conflicts. So Mr. Abhikendu is going to tell us or guide us on how to resolve or how to manage those conflicts. Friends, today we have a message from the leaders, Mr. Rajiv Chalnapur, who is CEO and Director of Ramoji Film City. Let's hear from Mr. Rajiv Chalnapur.
Along with your dear and near ones are safe during this pandemic. In the world, the industry is going through a lot of challenges. Good news is between Shanghai, Disney, and a couple of places in Europe, and now in US, the parks has started slowly reopening. I feel good days are going to come to us also. Friends, in last 2 months, IAAPI did organize a couple of webinars between the maintenance and also to keep upkeep of your parks during this difficult time. We have taken it very seriously. I would like to request all of you that kindly make a detailed checklist or a program by which we all will maintain our assets, be it the landscape, the hardscape, the look and feel of the park, the ride shows, attractions, and the areas right from parking to the staff entry. Believe me, lot of efforts has been made, lot of investments has been made to make all these parks. This is the, we cannot ignore it. Make sure that create a kind of a program which will have a minimum cost, but we would like to maintain and retain the look and feel and the engineering part of the entire attractions which have been there. My request to all of you also will be, please make sure that you are in touch with your guest through the digital or social media. Once again, lot of our colleagues have been doing phenomenally great work. There's a lot to learn. I've also refer to colleagues from especially India are really doing a great job. I always thank the visitors who has visited us, and repeat business is our business. So I would like to make sure that we are in. Last time I mentioned it to you all that take a time out now to visualize what will be the business model. So new business model, the important part of our industry will to make sure that to survive, we'll have to look at our business plan, especially the operational plan very critically. So it could be human resources, it could be the timings, and also it could be the way we will market the park. Please start visualizing, you start making a list, because if we open it now, at least for 2020, we will get probably half a year for our new balance sheet for the year. Let us not lose money. Let us study in such a way that we will try our level best to understand the entire business model and work towards it. I am sure a time will come soon that we will we will know what is going to be new normal, and we all will get adopt we will adopt our systems to make sure that we all will make a success. Friends, it's a difficult time, but it will not stay for a longer time. That is our wish and prayers. So, wish you all the best. Let us come back and make the guest happy. Thank you very much, and all the best to you.
Friends, that was a sharp and crisp message from our Vice Chairman, IAAPI, Mr. Rajiv Chalnapurkar. So let's go ahead, the session today. Today's session, as discussed, we have Abhikendu with us. Abhikendu has a vast experience over 23 years in the Indian hospitality industry, a Bachelor of Hotel Management from Mangalore University. Got selected through campus interviews as operational management trainee in Taj Group of Hotels and worked for 9 years in the same company. In these 9 years, got 8 promotions and was exposed to 14 Taj Hotel Pan India. Next 5 years, moved to corporate hospitality and established India's one of the first integrated hospitality division of an Indian corporate house, Venkateshwara Hatcheries, Venky's Pune. As hospitality head, worked in Sodexo as general manager of India's first corporate hotel, HSBS BC, Hyderabad, and general manager of Reliance Greens, Jamnagar. Then personal resorts of Mrs. and Mr. Mukesh Ambani. In next 4 years, came back to mainstream hotel business and worked with 2 startups in Ritamba Group and Suchitra, India. Joined and worked at Ramoji Film City as General Manager Tourism for 2 years and got inducted to amusement industry. Went back to hotel as Group Manager, General Manager of Asia Resorts Himachal for a while. However, The newfound love for amusement parks brought him back, and he joined in intent to continue with Malpani Group at Lonavala and managing Wet and Wild, Wet and Joy, and Magic Mountain for last 2 years as CEO. Wet and Joy Water Park and Magic Mountain amusement parks, Lonavala, Malpani Group. So over to Mr. Abhikendu, please.
Namaste.
Abhikendu.
Namaste, Anuji. Namaste, everybody. On set, on behalf of the entire Malpani Group's amusement park division, I would like to thank IAAPI and all its officers to give me this opportunity to speak on a subject which is very close to my heart. In fact, I always wanted to speak about this particular subject to all of our IAAPI members, and I should thank our IAAPI beloved chairman, Mr. Ajay Sarin, and chairman training committee, Mr. Anuj Sarin, to give me this opportunity. Before I start with this particular subject, ladies and gentlemen, it would be wrong on my part if I don't extend my gratitude to the person who brought me to this amusement park industry, Mr. Rajiv Jhanapurkar, and I'm so lucky that on today's talk itself, he himself came as the leader of the industry and addressed all of us. So now I would like to, like all of you, to get into the subject, and as we move in, sorry, just give me a moment.
In the meantime, may I request everyone to kindly keep their audios and videos in off mode, please.
Sorry. Is it visible, sir?
Yeah, please continue.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about a subject which is called conflict management. So, if you see the word, the sentence conflict management has two parts, conflict and management. So, what does this mean? Basically, we all understand what conflict is all about. We are aware of this. We don't have to go to a dictionary to understand conflict. But the real fun starts once you know how to manage this conflict. So before we go into the details, I would like to see from where we are all standing today. Today's situation is unprecedented. As right now, Rajiv sir told that this is something we have never seen, we have never experienced. In fact, a generation above us also, they have never seen or experienced a situation which we are experiencing today during this COVID-19 situation. Pandemic has affected us and affected us in a adverse way in one way or other. The entire country is in lockdown or semi-lockdown situation, and we are aware that this is something which has been negatively affecting us on a day-to-day basis. Now, the resultant of today's situation, one of the things which Mr. Anuj Sarin also spoke about before this particular class is that stress level. Now, there is a constant rise of stress which we are witnessing in our personal as well as professional space. There can be various reasons. People have lost business, the businessmen, the entrepreneur, they have lost a lot of money in this entire 4 months lockdown. There are cases of job losses. The people who have been lucky to retain themselves in a particular job, many of them have seen salary cuts. There is a sense of uncertainty. There is a sense of change of. There are sense of change of work culture also. There can be stress out of work culture change. Now, most of the people who work in our industry, entertainment or hospitality, we are always on move. We are basically outbound. We are outdoor. We are moving around. We are handling a situation. We are fighting what we call firefighting. We are doing firefighting. And on a day-to-day basis, it is a lot of adventure, a lot of movement. Suddenly, one fine day, we have one set of people are told that you have to sit at home and work from home. So work from home is something to our trade, it is a change in the culture. So that also can be a reason why the stress levels can go up. Another major reason of stress is that what we always used to be people from hospitality industry, we always used to complain that we don't have quantity time for our family and friends. Leave aside friends, but even for family, we could hardly give time to them. And now a situation has arisen that in the confinement of our little house or flat, all the family members are together and we are locked, most of them. And due to that also there can be stress level going up, because we all had our personal spaces. Now there is overlapping of space happening around, and that is causing certain stress. There are people who are lucky to have everything in their life. They have good bank balance, they have food on their plate, they have all the facilities, but then because of emotional imbalance, also there can be stress. Now, this is something which is very unique and very funny to many, but the people who are suffering from this, that's a serious affair. I met a lady, or I rather interacted with a lady who was in lot of stress. And she told me the main reason of her stress is that for last 3 months, she has not been able to go to a beauty parlor. Hence, she cannot participate in all the video conferencing which her friends are having across. Similarly, I met one gentleman who was very stressed because he told me, what is this life? I cannot go to my golf course and play a couple of holes in the morning. So there can be various kind of reasons for stress, but at the end of the day, these stress also sometimes and in majority results into conflict. Now, what is conflict? We all know, let's go into the definition part of it. Conflict is a struggle or an opposition. So we know about it. Conflict usually starts when you disagree with somebody about something, or you don't like how someone has reacted to something. So it is basically something which you have not liked, or you don't want it to happen that way, and that has been actually executed. So you need to understand, to have conflict, the first important factor is you need two set of people, at least two people, if not two set of people. Second thing is that there has to be a communication. So if there are two set of people and they are communicating and they are not agreeing to each other's point of view, there would be a conflict. Now, as I was talking about conflict in our personal space or at home, there can be various kind of examples. There can be various kind of thing which I'm sure many of us are facing on a day-to-day basis. Because the stress levels are high, everything can trigger into a conflict. To ask your daughter or son, get me a glass of water, and your child brings a bottle of water, even that can trigger a conflict. However, keeping the personal side aside, let's look at the workplace. Even on a day-to-day basis, in a workplace situation, what happens is that there are various kinds of conflicts which may arise. There are different types of conflict which we see in workplace. The first is leadership conflict. If leader has a way of leading his team and the team members do not agree on that, there can be a conflict. In today's world, your end result may not depend totally on your work. You may have to depend on others to fulfill certain part of your work in order to come to the conclusive result. And in case somebody is goofing up somewhere in that work chain where that work needs to be done to have a success at the end of the day, and because of that you are facing failure, there can be a stress as well as a conflict. Then work style differences. I may have a different way of doing things. My teammates may not agree on that. Even within the same set of people, there can be various conflicts may arise because of different style of work. Then very important, culture-based conflict. Now, every culture, not only I'm talking about Indian culture and foreign cultures. Within India, from province to province, there are certain things which may vary. I'm sure many of you would understand my physical gesture in different manner. If I do it like this, for all my friends in North India, they will think that Abhikendu is giving a thumbs up or I am being appreciated. All my friends, I can bet Ashwin sitting over there must be smiling. If anybody in down south does like this, it means that the person is aggressive and he is fighting with you. He wants to, even if you don't understand any of the South Indian languages, but especially in Karnataka, if somebody does like this, it's not a thumbs up. It's something which you have annoyed the person in front. So I am coming to that these kind of cultural differences can also result into conflict, and obviously there are personality clashes. Now, conflict is a human behavioral resultant. It is not something which can be kept under a blanket. Conflict cannot be ignored, cancelled, or put on hold. It needs to be managed. That is the crux of conflict. Now, how do you manage conflict? That is very, very interesting part of the story. If you see conflict from a point of view of just a human behavioral any response or any natural response of any normal human being, and you want to manage that, it is very difficult for you to understand how to manage. To manage anything, you need to scientifically look at that particular issue. Now, conflict can also be scientifically decoded. Now, how do you decode a conflict? It can be decoded by understanding the root cause and then scientifically mapping the pattern of the conflict. To take you forward, let me introduce you to a gentleman who is, again, I'm a great follower of this gentleman. His name is Eric Berne. I'm sure most of you have read his famous book, Games People Play. It was published in somewhere in 1964, if I'm not mistaken, and ever since it has been a bestseller. Eric Berne is considered as one of the most revered human behavioral scientists, a Canadian-born gentleman who has worked majorly into various factors of human behavior. And his paper, which later got converted into a book, Transactional Analysis in Psychotherapy, actually decodes this entire thing called conflict. Now, what does Eric Berne says is that through this famous transactional analysis theory, he says that a human being is always in either of the three mindsets. Now, we very loosely we have heard and spoken about this word ego. Now, he says that his theory rather says that a person at any given time, any normal human being, can be in three states of ego or three states of mindset. One ego state is called parental ego. One ego state is called child ego, and one state of mind is called adult ego. Now, this theory also says a beautiful thing, that a human being in the entire day, a normal human being can move from one ego state to another ego state very easily multiple times in a day. You can be in parental ego, then you can easily move to adult ego and child ego and so on and so on. Now, what are these basic mindsets or state of mind or ego states? First is parental ego. Parental ego is a state of mind where you are in command. You think that you know and the person in front does not know. You are big, the person in front is small. You are strong, person in front is weak. Adult ego has a different set. Adult ego, when a person is in adult ego, he always considers the person in front to also be in adult ego. I am equal, you are equal. I know, you know. When you are in child ego, you are in that kind of a state of mind where you start thinking that I don't know, but person in front knows. So I am small, you are big. So what happens when a person is in parental ego? He is always in authority. He wants to hear these few sweet words. Yes, sir. Yes, boss. You are right. You guide me. But entire thing changes when the person moves to another mindset, which is of child ego. I am helpless. I need your guidance. I need your help. Please guide me. Please support me. Please protect me. So that is the mindset which a person usually goes into when he is in child ego. When a person is an adult ego, he starts thinking in analytical, logical way. He keeps the person in front also in the same state of mind. He expects the person in front also to be in the same set of mind, and he wants response which are logical, analytical, and equal. Now, let's understand conflict in this entire format. If we go into decoding this further, let us see how this entire mapping of conflict can be done in a scientific manner. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce our hero and heroine over here. The hero is called Mr. Bunty, and obviously the heroine is Miss Bubbly over here. Now, as I told you, Mr. Bunty has parental ego, adult ego, Even Miss Bubbly has the same, and both of them have child ego. Now what happens is that the person, when the communication between two people happens, when the first person communicates to the second person, that communication is called stimulus. And when the second person gives the response, then it is called response, stimulus and response. Now, when a person is in parental ego, his communication, or he always feels or presumes the person in front will be always in child ego. If I give a command and the person in front takes the command and gives the response that he has accepted the command, I will be happy. So whenever a person from parental ego communicates, his stimulus reaches to he thinks that his stimulus is reaching to the child ego of the person in front. If the person in front also responds back from his or her child ego to the person who is communicating, there is a parallel which forms. That means there is no cross and there is no conflict. Let me give you an example of this particular situation. Bunty says, "Get me my car keys." Can you feel the authority in the sentence which he just used? Get me my car keys. And Bubbly says, "Don't worry, I will leave everything, whatever I was doing, I will search for that key and immediately get it for you." So what is happening? Bunty is giving command from his parental ego, and that is being responded by Bubbly from her child ego. So there is a parallel and there won't be a conflict. In second case, the same set of people, but this time Bunty is in his adult ego. So when you are in adult ego, your formation of sentence changes from "get me my car keys." This time the sentence has changed to "have you seen my car keys?" Now he is reaching to when a person is in adult mindset, he always reaches out to the person in front and consider or presumes that the person in front will also respond from the adult state of mind. And Bubbly says, "Yes, I have seen that key on your table." And the sentence ends. Now you can understand there are certain hidden things that you go and get it yourself. And because Bunty was in adult mindset, he doesn't mind. So there is a parallel. So there won't be a conflict. In third case, this time, I'm sure many of the married people in this group can relate to this example well. Bunty says, "Bubbly, I need your help to look for my car keys." And Bubbly says, so he is talking from his child ego. When stimulus goes from child ego of one person, it expects the person from front should speak like a parent. "I need your help." "Yes, I am there to help you." So the answer comes from Bubbly, "I don't know what you would have done without me. Every time you keep losing your things. Okay, you be in your place, finish off your breakfast, I will look for the key and bring it to you." So the response also comes from parental ego of Bubbly. So there is a parallel, so there is no conflict. Now let us move to conflict situations. Again, the same set of people and the same question, same stimulus. Get me my car keys, says Bunty. This time, Bubbly is in another mindset. Bubbly is also in parental mindset or parental ego. So her response comes, I don't know what you will do without me. You keep losing your keys all the time. Okay, you keep having your breakfast, I will look for it. There is a cross because Bubbly's parental ego is trying to reach the child ego of Bunty. Bunty's parental ego is trying to reach the child ego of Bubbly. So there is a cross. There is a conflict. Now, when two people are in parental ego and there is a conflict, the resultant is insult. The human behavioral resultant is feeling of insult. Suppose a person is in parental ego and the respondent is in adult ego. There is also a factor of insult which comes in. The feeling of insult will be there in mind of Bunty. Now, if she would have said that it is kept on the table, there would be a conflict because the response and the stimulus are crossing. In the second case, this time Bunty is speaking from adult point of view. Have you seen my car keys? And if the response is, as we have discussed, Bubbly response from her parental or from her child ego, there would be a conflict. And in third case, now in second case, what happens is that when the first person is in adult ego and a conflict situation comes, he is in a state of confusion. I asked a simple question, why this lady is behaving like my mother? I asked a simple question, why she is behaving like a small kid? So there is a confusion. First case, there was an insult. Second case, there is a confusion. And in third case, when Bunty is in child ego, he wants to be pampered. Yeah, if he wants to be pampered, he is telling, darling, I can't look for my keys. Can you help me to find the keys? And Bubbly is also in her child ego. For example, you go to your accountant and say that I am not being able to understand this particular Excel sheet. Can you explain to me? He suddenly gets up, moves away from his chair and folds his hand and says that, sir, you are my boss. How can I teach you? So you will get into a confusion and there would be a conflict. And the same thing happens when the response comes from adult ego of the person as a response. Now, in this kind of conflict, a beautiful thing happens. The resultant is that of. You remember I gave an example that you asked for water from your daughter or son, a glass of water, and he or she got a bottle of water. The conflict, the reason why that conflict happened in your mind or outside is basically you felt hurt. That I asked if a person would have given a command, get me a glass of water, would have felt extremely insulted. Now, moving forward, we have understood, we have decoded conflict in a scientific manner. So, moving forward, I would like all of you to see a small video clipping which will basically talk about this subject in a funny manner. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, from this small clip, I'm sure the entire conflict management was put into a small, beautiful animation film. Now, how do we decode this particular cartoon movie? If you can see, both these big animals, moose and the bear, comes on a bridge and they face each other. They want to one person to move so that the other person can cross the river. Now that represents the parental ego. I am big, you are small. I am not going to move. And there was a conflict. Now comes the raccoon. If you see, you can watch this video later on also. You can see the raccoon comes and very confidently requests the bear that can you just give me some way, I want to pass through. Now there was a conflict. I am big, you are small, and you are talking to me as an equal. So he was bashed and thrown one side. While the moose was being pushed, the rabbit comes. Rabbit is also represented as adult ego over here. And he also gets into trouble. There is a conflict, and this time the moose throws the rabbit out. Now, both the animals in their adult ego, they decide to teach these people in parental ego a lesson, and they open the rope, and both of these big creatures, big animals fall. Now, just before falling, what happens is that they lynch to each other and cries for help. You must have seen that. So those two people who were in parental ego suddenly moves into child ego and asks for help before they fall. Now once the remaining part of the bridge is hanging and it has enough space for the small animals to pass, both the animals start together and reach a same situation where they face each other and there is no enough space for them to pass each other. So what happens is that they look at each other. There was no sense of conflict. They started thinking analytically for a solution. So raccoon who moves on 4 feet, it was easier for the raccoon to bend, and the rabbit whose strength is to jump, jumped across, and both of them moved towards one solution of a bigger objective of crossing the bridge. Now, through these transactional analysis, we need to understand one thing for sure, that you don't have a control on the exterior world. The external response, you do not have either response or stimulus from the external world, you do not have a control. What control you have is from your inner self. This takes me to the subject which was taken by Mr. Rajan Shah beautifully a couple of weeks back, that everything starts from inner self. Now, how do we decode a conflict, or how do we understand a conflict? When a conflict arises, you need to understand 2 things: how you are feeling. Second thing is, you need to understand, or you need to assume or try to decode from which mindset the person in front is talking to you. So it is always advisable that a normal human being with the right mindset should always be in adult ego. However, you are in a kind of a conflict situation, you need to try to decode that why this conflict is happening. Either that means, either as per the transactional analysis, it shows that I am in adult ego and the person in front is either in parental ego or in child ego. So through their actions and their phrases, you can decode that. And suppose a person in front is in adult ego and you are in parental ego and you are in adult ego. What you need to do to diffuse this particular conflict? For the time being, you need to move yourself to child ego and start responding to the person who is in adult ego. What will happen is the channel of communication will open up. Over the communication, there would be a level of self-trust, belief will start developing, and confidence building happens. You slowly move yourself to adult ego and try to manipulate and bring the person in front to the adult ego itself. Because when 2 set of people are in the adult mindset, that is a long-term way of finding solution to a conflict. A conflict will never reoccur. The same thing when, suppose you are in parental ego because of various reasons, because of your position, because of your experience, because of your age, and the person in front, suddenly you understand that there is a conflict which is happening, and you can judge that the person in front is talking from adult ego. It is always wise to come to adult ego yourself. If the person is also in parental ego, you can move to child ego and bring a situation where adult to adult can be achieved. Conflict competency is the ability to develop and use various ways so that the overall environment of a particular place or a situation or a kind of a objective which is common to both the parties are kept in the best of its health, because without any escalation, negative escalation or harm. It results into a lasting agreement, and recurrence of these kind of conflict does not happen. Now, before I end this particular session, I always wanted everybody to read this particular piece of wisdom from another very famous human behavioral scientist. I'm a great fan of Virginia Satir, who once said that feeling of worth can flourish only in an atmosphere where individual differences are appreciated, mistakes are tolerated, communication is open, and rules are flexible. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I end this session. I'm open for any kind of question and answer or questions from you. I would be very happy to answer them if I can. Sir.
Mr. Abhikendu, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Abhikendu, for giving us insight about the ego, stress, and conflict, especially with the live example of Bunty and Bubbly. It was wonderful to see them in the live examples. So we'll start up with the question session to now. The first question I'll take in of Mr. Parag Date. His question is, what are the pointers one should introspect when a conflict situation arises?
Thank you, Parag. This is very relevant. In fact, it's a wonderful question. Basically, what happens is that when a conflict arises, because you don't have a control on the person in front or people in front, you need to see yourself under a couple of parameters. You have to see yourself. The first parameter is, what is your inner feeling towards this conflict? Is it sense of insult, confusion, or hurt? Now, if you can decode that properly, you will be able to understand in what mindset you are in. If you are feeling insulted, rest assured you are in parental ego. If you are confused, you are in adult ego. If you are hurt, you are in child ego. So this is the first parameter. The second parameter is, once I understand that I am in child ego, so definitely the person in front would not be in adult ego. He is operating from adult ego, or he is also operating from child ego. So you need to decode the communication pattern or the way the person in front is communicating with you. Once you have both these answers, suppose you find out that you are in parental ego and the person in front is in adult ego, you need to bring yourself down to adult ego and start talking to him as equal. Very good example of this kind of a situation is what happened recently between India and China. Our beloved Prime Minister told India will आंख ऊपर करके या आंख झुका कर नहीं देखेगा, किसी भी और देश के साथ आंख मिलाकर देखेगा. That was what he was talking about. The conflict happened because both the teams went head on with their adult ego. When they started communicating as parental ego, and there was a fight. When the fight finished and everything was over with, when the communication started from equal to equal, there was a solution which was found, and that is what we are seeing today. I think I have been able to explain this thing properly.
Yeah, hopefully well answered. The next question I'll take in is from Mr. Rakesh Jha. You spoke about various types of conflict in the first part of your presentation, which we were facing in our family due to overlapping of personal space. How do you manage them?
Again, I think all my teammates are sending different questions. Good, Rakesh. Basically, I can understand you are in a lockdown situation for quite some time. What happens is in your personal space is exactly the same which you are facing or you are supposed to handle or manage conflict in elsewhere. you need to decode from where you are talking. And please understand one thing for sure, that the people who are connected, the people who have a long-term or a short-term objective, same objective, or are attached to each other with through family or relationship or emotions or objectives, you cannot discard anyone. So what you need to do is that you need to respect everybody's space. The way that space was respected automatically when you were out or family members were out, and only in the evening everybody would come together. Somebody is still working, somebody is watching TV, somebody is doing something. You need to understand that in a confined space, just because of your stress, you should not be stepping on the toes of people around you. So you need to, instead of managing them, you need to learn how to manage yourself. And the method is what I just explained in my previous answer.
Thank you, Abhikendu. I'll take in the next question. Next question is from Mr. Ram. I don't know which practical example he's talking about. He says, very practical example, superb. Can you please give an example of any situation where two parties involved do not share the common objectives, both short and long?
Okay. Now this is interesting. This is something which is a situation where two set of people, I was just telling you that both the set of people cannot avoid or cannot disengage or avoid each other if they are not part of the same bigger objective or any kind of a family tie or emotional tie. Suppose today I meet a person and I get into a conflict. It does not matter whether this person is there in my life or not in the very next moment. What do I do? I think, Ram, you wanted to check on that. The best thing is that you need to communicate to him that from adult ego. And if the person is still not understanding, then you need to communicate and tell him that you have a school of thought which you think you are right. I come from a different school of thought where my thought, I feel that I am right. However, as we are not attached to each other, we do not add any value to each other's existence. You let us discontinue our communication. That is the best way. We will not take this dispute ahead. Recently, incident happened in one of my clubs where I'm one of the member. One of the member, because now the clubs are closed, we are not interacting in physical sense. We have a group, a WhatsApp group, where one person certainly got overstressed because of whatever reason, and I don't know him. And he started writing to my club chairman certain unwanted stuff. So I felt that whatever he has mentioned does not make sense, so I responded to it. To which many of my club members supported me. Now this guy took another route. He started sending direct messages to me with all kind of stuff. I tried to reason things out with him, but then I realized that he is in his own trade. So what do I do? Do I go and start bashing him? Do I create or escalate this conflict? I have nothing to gain or lose out of that. So what I communicated to him is that, okay, fine, let us not communicate with each other and let us keep it the way it is. If you think you are right, that is up to you, but I will hold on to my thought. So this is a way you can handle a situation where you really don't have to, you have two set of people or a set of people in front who does not share anything common with you.
Thank you, Abhikendu. So the next question I'll take in is from Mr. Ashwin. He says, how do you communicate to people that they are showing parent ego in a right manner?
See, Ashwin, when you understand the person in front is in parental ego, the first thing which you have to do as a management student or a person who understands the science of conflict now, you have to follow the transactional analysis. You have to move to a child ego. And I'm not telling you to be in constantly in that format. You have to, if the person in front or the person involved has a common factor with you and you don't want a break of communication, then you have to go into child ego, open up the communication channel, and once that channel opens up, then you are smart enough to understand what is the time and space where you can manipulate to bring him to adult ego and move to adult ego and formulate that particular status quo forever.
Thank you. So the next question I have, I'll take in from Mr. Shashikant Dunga. As a boss, you'll always remain in parental ego or adult ego to your team. But if you get a response the same way from your juniors, how to manage this conflict for an authoritative solution?
See, this is very interesting if you are talking from boss or a point of authority. Now, most of the time what happens is that when you that crown, heavy crown of being the boss or being the authority, and you start carrying it along with you, that's the point of concern. Because please understand that a designation or an authority is something which is given to you because of your abilities, not because you carry around with a particular parental ego will. Many times what happens is that when you are interacting with your juniors, you are in parental ego. It is right, because you are talking from a point of authority, a point of a person with a more knowledge, experience, and sometimes ability too. However, when the response comes from the other side, that the person is also in parental ego or he is talking from adult ego, you need to differentiate that and you need to partition. You immediately need to make two partitions. The people who are talking to you from adult ego, they are the best employees to work with. That means they understand what they are talking about. They have an analytical and they have a logical thought behind their statements. So it is always good to bring down yourself from parental ego to adult ego and start communicating. Problem arises when the person in front is in parental ego and you are also in parental ego, and because of your authority you are not in a position to come down to child ego. I'm sure your question is basically on that kind of a situation. In that situation, what one must do from leadership thing is that while communication, you need to communicate to the person in front that leave aside all the authorities, leave aside all the designation aside. You are talking on this. Okay, I will accept it. Now, if I accept it, now what are the various other resultant of that particular situation which you are suggesting? Now, the moment the person in front feels that you have started listening to him or her, the guard falls down. That rigidness of being in that particular mindset falls off. And through that communications channel, you can then, because you are smarter, if you are holding a bigger position in an organization, please be rest assured, until and unless you are there because of other reason, if people at large has taken you as a leader, you are smart. So if you are smart, you need to understand how to manipulate and move the person from parental ego to adult ego so that you can also move to adult ego and come to a win-win situation.
I'll take in the next question from Mr. Amit Tiwari. He says, sir, how to deal with differences of opinion when working on a team?
Amit, differences will come when there are multiple people working in a team. First thing which I told in my previous answer also, you need to understand the bigger picture. We need to see who all are, whether everybody is aligned to that bigger picture or not. And then whatever is best for the bigger picture. Now, suppose what you are saying is that basically two people in the same position trying to do same thing for a same cause, but their methods are different. So nobody is wrong in that. The moment in these cases, what happens is that mostly people do not communicate. They just action the thing. I will do it this way. I will make an Excel sheet in this format. The other person makes the same Excel sheet in another format. Now he puts certain column in towards right, the other person puts it in left, and there can be a conflict. So before a work is executed, every team member need to put their ideas on table and have a adult to adult discussion. Wherever there is a headlock, there has to be referred to an higher authority. Then a line of communication will be, or a method will be prescribed, and everybody will follow it, and there won't be any conflict.
Thank you, Abhikendu. So probably with time passing on, I have not many questions which are floating in, but I'll just take in a last question. And before that, I'd like to just inform you there's a thank you message to you from our chairman, Mr. Ajay Sareen.
Thank you, sir.
The last question I'll take in is from Mr. KTR Srinivasan, if I spelled it rightly. One should have positive attitude, also change in mind, set, and parental thinking are required to handle any conflict situation. Is it right, sir?
No, you don't have to be in parental ego to solve a situation. Only when the person is in a child ego. Positive mindset is something which is very wide. You cannot define it. Rather than calling it in positive mindset, it needs to be smart mindset. That is what the entire presentation was all about. Till now, we only knew conflict as a resultant. यार झगड़ा हो गया. क्यों हुआ? अरे बहुत egoistic है बंदा. These are the words which we usually hear. Now, through this transactional analysis of Eric Berne, we have learned how to decode it. So from being general people, now we have become specialized people. So we will use science, human behavioral science, to decode a particular resultant of human behavior and find a solution out of that. So there is nothing to do with parental ego until and unless the people in front are in child ego.
Thank you, Abhikendu, for taking us and teaching us, about child, adult, and parental ego, and how to manage or float in between the three. On behalf of IAAPI, I'd like to thank Abhikendu for insightful and deep knowledge shared with us. I hope the guests have taken away handy, helpful information and would take full advantage from the efforts taken by the speaker. Thank you, Abhikendu. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Most welcome, sir. So up next, dear guest, this is a special session which is coming up. The session is Rebuilding Amusement Industry Post-COVID-19. The session is being taken by Mr. Vinod Zuchi, who is IAS, Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, former Secretary. The session is on 17th July at 11:30 a.m. Kindly note the date and timings again. 17th July, 11:30 a.m. So see you virtually on 17th at 11:30. Please do join in. He'll be sharing in great experiences about the tourism industry and where we stand in tourism industry as amusement industry. Thank you, guests. It is solely because of your interest and participation that the webinar series has continued. To attract such high numbers and has become a useful platform where ideas, knowledge, and experience are being shared. Thank you once again. Please do visit our website, the YouTube channel, and do share, like, and subscribe to the channel. The link is hereby given in. See you virtually on 17th, 11:30 a.m. Thank you. Thank you once again. Thank you, everyone. Meeting to stop here.